Let's get started. Public safety meeting, November 1st, 2018. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will do the call to order, and which we just did, the roll call. Marcia Newman.
Here.
Michael Piscatelli is excused. Patty Kirby.
Here.
Patrice Berlin.
Here.
Alex Zbicki is excused, but he's expected hopefully by the time the meeting ends. Rachel Tobias.
Here.
And Craig Radow. So that's at the moment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 to pass a motion. The September 27th, 2018 meeting was videotaped, thanks to Peter Cole. And I do recommend tuning into it. Team Bully Buster was there to give some tips, and I think they were valuable tips. So you could see that on the Studio City Neighborhood Council videos. Give it a watch. It starts about halfway into that meeting on September 27th. Why not use this opportunity to make some statements? Okay.
Okay.
Bear with me. So I was outside of LA this week, and it gave me time to reflect and collect my thoughts on public safety. And the biggest question I ask myself is whether my negative feelings about the city's protection is overly harsh, or are they a true representation of our current times? Also ask myself, is next door crime-related alerts amplifying our concerns of issues that were always there, or is there a real increase in problems, or is it a bit of both? And I also think about whether the neighborhood council's role is to share our elected officials' key messages or to speak on behalf of the community. And I'll be honest, I think most people try to play it both ways. But personally, I'm proud that this committee remains on the side of listening to the majority of the community and share and welcome and sharing those concerns, and we share those concerns up the elected food chain. So, you know, I'd like everyone to think about those questions tonight and moving forward, especially when we address our key motion. And, you know, also from the last CPAB meeting, the Community Police Advisory Board, I understand there were some positive developments in regards to patrol across the neighborhood, across the city. And so, Patty, correct me if I have it wrong, but I heard positive news that 210 police officers are being reassigned from downtown to each police division. The reason being is to increase patrol. That comes to about 10 new officers for North Hollywood starting in January. And I can promise no other neighborhood council has pushed harder than ours when it comes to greater patrol for the valley and for the city for that matter. Did I have that right? Or?
That's right.
Good. That's somewhat good.
Rob,
when he passed along, welcome.
Yeah,
Rob, when
there.
he passed along the statistics,
right.
He had some updates. Other things from that meeting were welcome. We're talking about some highlights from the recent Community Police Advisory Board meeting this month. North Hollywood Police Captain Donnie Graham discussed homeless encampments. There are currently 4 full-time North Hollywood LAPD officers assigned to homeless outreach. Officers identify homeless encampments, make contact, and provide pamphlets on food, housing, mental health, and other services available in the East Valley area. Encampments are provided 48-hour notice to clean up, then enforcement action is coordinated with other LA City agencies.
That's for...
This is for the North Hollywood Division.
North Hollywood Division, okay,
Yeah.
not just Studio City.
Yeah. Captain Graham, who is the captain of the North Hollywood Division, also discussed 3 takeaways for local community involvement. With the holidays coming, which is prime time for property crimes, work to prevent porch piracy of package deliveries by considering to install a lockbox on your porch, providing special shipping instructions, or delivering packages to neighbors who are home. It's also important to remember to share local crime information with your neighbors. For example, recent home burglaries in Studio City and Toluca Lake were stopped by neighbors working together with LAPD officers. And finally, from Captain Graham, there have been 5 pedestrian and 2 vehicle deaths in North Hollywood in 2018, year to date. So adherence to traffic laws is important. I think that is all for now from me. We will open it up to public comments. If you came out tonight and have something you want to share, go ahead.
Well, first of all, notwithstanding my wife's on your committee, I've come to enough meetings to realize that you people are on a very good wavelength. You're sincere. You want to see good things happen to the community. What hasn't happened, not your fault, is our wonderful Mr. Krikorian really being called on the carpet once and for all. And what I'd like to say, it's a comment, but it's actually a recommendation, that he be invited to a meeting of the Public Safety Committee. I'm not talking about any other committee, because this is the most important committee in this city, period. This people's safety, and we see it every time there's a meeting, somebody's coming. My wife, I'm concerned about her safety, my children, and the homeless people, blah, blah, blah. That he be brought somehow to a meeting of this committee, and that in advance, there's tremendous publicity throughout his district that this is going to happen, and that we get people here, you know, whatever, who get the media here, the print media and the television media here, and make this an unbelievable meeting, and let the people have at it with this guy once and for all. We talk about him all the time. It always comes up. What has he done? What he hasn't done. He hasn't done anything to help this community in terms of public safety, because it's the same issues over and over again. But I'm asking that question. I know this is just a comment. To get Krikorian here once and for all to your committee, public safety, and let the people come and have at it with him once and for all, and let him be on television and in the newspapers with his answers, because he can't answer the questions that he's done a goddamn thing. So that's what I'm bringing up here. That's my comment.
I think there's a problem with that.
Sorry?
I think there's a problem with that.
What is that?
I think he's busy that week.
Especially that evening at that time.
You were here when Donnie Graham was here, and that was an awesome meeting.
Yeah.
And that's really similar to what we'd want to do with Krikorian. None of this talk stuff, but like direct.
But have the media here and let the public.
These are your public comments. We're not supposed to respond back, but it is important to note that it looks like he will be attending the November 14th Studio City Neighborhood Council full board meeting. So he is planning to attend. From what I understand, they're working out what his presentation or what he will be answering, but that's the third Wednesday of the month, our typical board meeting. Once it's confirmed, we will be pushing that information out. So
He needs to come to this committee.
I don't see that happening in the immediate future.
Why would he not?
I think he probably sees this as a not a welcoming meeting for him. I mean, to be honest. So he'll start with the board.
Well, I don't.
Well, you know what? I'll ask him on November 14th.
As a follow-up comment, I don't think that that's a reasonable excuse.
No.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be put in the hot seat. Well, put him in the hot seat.
Any other public comments? Peter.
This is probably very important. If anyone needs a bed, there's a bed that's laying across the south side, underneath the Sportsman's Lodge, all the stuff that was underneath.
It's a pillow top too.
Pillow top, and there's also a hospital bedpan too under there if you'd like it.
I did get your email on that earlier, but thank you for pointing it out. Yes?
I got involved in a big thread on the homeless situation in the Nextdoor website this week, and it got quite testy between
About
some of the people.
Agnes?
What?
About Agnes?
There was, I guess, no, Agnes didn't come up, I don't know who Agnes is, but the
That was
initial,
another one. The Agnes one was another one.
Yeah, there was multiple ones this week.
the initial comment was about a pile of trash with a tarp over it at Ventura and Colfax.
Yeah.
And that's what started the thread. And in talking about that, I did a little bit of research. I decided it was time to try to get educated on this. And I was wondering, what I've learned so far, first of all, is that apparently, and what I proposed in the thread was, you know, all the complaining aside, I think that when we get down to the very bottom, we're going to find that there's some case law that is really policing or covering what we can and cannot do and what the police can and cannot do. So we can talk all we want, but as long as there's case law, what are you going to do? It's Ninth Court of Appeals, Circuit Court of Appeals. And there's this case, Jones versus Los Angeles, which apparently said, you know, anybody's allowed to sit, lay, loiter, wherever they want. They can't be pestered, blah, blah, blah. So, which is kind of what I thought I would find would be what's stopping anybody from doing anything of substance. Then I learned that all this money we're raising with HHH and H to provide supportive housing around the district is great. However, they will have no ability to compel anyone to have treatment for mental illness. They'll not be able to compel anyone to go into rehab for addiction, and they still won't be able, even with the shelter there, finally after millions of dollars of our money, will not be able to compel anyone who wants to sleep on the streets to force them to sleep in the housing. So I guess my question right now is that your understanding? And number two, is there something written up that has the whole history of how LA has handled the homeless issue for the last 20 years, what their attempts have been, what the fight back has been, what the litigation has been, and so I can personally educate myself as to why we are where we are right now and what we can and cannot do.
That's a tough one to answer.
Yeah.
Can we,
Go ahead, Marcia.
are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay. When Captain Graham was here, he did lay out the history to an extent of where we are, exactly where we are in this situation. And it's been a trickle-down effect of elected officials and class action lawsuits, and the city loses every time. And it has changed case law, and the constituents vote in judges who support the rights of the homeless. This is in a very huge 100,000-foot overview of what has happened. We have a chance on Tuesday, and especially tomorrow night at the library, to find out what candidates think about these issues. I think that the sheriffs are going to be there. I don't know if there's so much involvement, but quite a few judges are going to be there. They're the ones that really have a stake in this and a say. I really urge everyone to not only you personally attend, but everyone invite 10 people to attend. Because I feel if you're running for public office, then you have to listen to the voters. You have to.
But it seems to me if the Ninth District Court of Appeals rules this way, we can all scream until we're blue in the face. And it's not going to make any difference unless we get that court to uphold the laws that we passed to control this situation.
We have to press upon the legislators to change laws, and then it's all done through lawsuits. Captain Graham cited the example of an attorney in Santa Monica. Her name is, I believe, Carol Sobel, that started suing on behalf of homeless rights. She did a class action lawsuit against the city. The city lost. And as a class action lawsuit, she had to go and advertise that monies were awarded to the victims. Well, she advertised, but since most homeless people don't read newspapers, after a certain amount of time, she was allowed to keep all the money. So she made millions of dollars. Captain Graham also said that the homeless rights industry in our area, I don't know if it's Southern California or Los Angeles, is a $2 billion a year industry. So people's people's jobs are at stake to keep the homeless population as it is.
Carol has 2 more lawsuits that I think just were started in the last week.
She gets a minimum 34% to take on that
Yeah.
personally. So if they award millions of dollars, which they do, she makes millions of dollars. So she's sitting fat and sassy.
But tomorrow night, there's also Roxanne Bedford. She comes to our
Yeah.
board meetings. Adrin's going to be there tomorrow night, who she's running against also, and she is really on board for the community against what's going on with the homeless, that the crazies, the drug addicted, and all that. She wants to do something about it, and Adrin is more. We shall see. So it's going to be a great debate, and anyone can ask anything they want at this forum tomorrow night.
This is at the Studio City Library, starting at 5:30. You have Senator Hertzberg attending, Rudy
Sure.
Melendez, who's.
I mean, we can change the laws, but if they get challenged and end up in the 9th District Court of Appeals, they're not gonna be covered,
That's the
They're gonna
frustration.
be thrown out.
That's why we're all very frustrated, yeah.
That really, I mean, our only chance is to change that court, because that's the court that everybody has to go through to get these laws to stick.
Is anyone running in
I
those?
was just gonna ask, does anyone know if there are any judges running?
Well, she's talking about the federal courts, right? This is a 9th Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
These are presidential appointed
This is presidential
judges.
appointees. So we need
This is the
change.
most liberal circuit
Yeah,
in the
In
country.
right, right.
And other and probably other administrations.
Yeah, I know it's frustrating, but to be honest, this public safety committee, we could only tackle. There's only so much we could tackle,
Okay,
unfortunately.
So my question was just to try to get a document or some kind of written history is what we've tried, what has worked, what has not worked, what the case law is.
Yeah,
Nobody-
The mayor-
nobody knows.
The
Nobody
mayor
anything.
has a, well, they called her a czar, homeless czar,
Yeah.
that did absolutely nothing, but there's supposed to be someone else appointed that would be able to contact the mayor's office and get all that information.
I can
It
give you
was
the
Wendy
contact
Rule,
of the
but-
mayor's
Yeah.
valley representative for the valley.
Mhm.
So that could be someone to start with to email. I
Isn't
don't know.
she the one who came here and said 74% of the homeless
Yes.
people
Right.
are just down and out of luck?
They're just like us.
Yeah.
Is she a czar?
She did say that.
She's-
She said, yeah.
She's the valley rep for the mayor.
Now, I have been told by someone I know who works for another city council member that every homeless, every supportive housing unit that goes up is filled immediately. So it's not, that kind of allayed a little bit of my frustration because I thought we're gonna spend all these millions of dollars building all this housing and nobody has to go there. But he tells me every unit is filled immediately and there's a waiting list.
And they're filled from
Encouraging.
people from out of state, out of Los Angeles, all come to us to get cared for.
The housing's another issue. They're spending $400,000 per apartment, per
400 to
unit.
600 per the council.
So, like,
Where
I know
do
social
sign up?
workers, social workers on the ground who deal with the homeless people in Orange County. He can't afford an apartment that nice.
Yeah.
He's working directly with the homeless people.
And he's paying the taxes to give them.
Exactly.
I mean, I personally think that we have, I know this is like, I'm not a heartless person, I'm realistic, but we have a mental health refugee crisis in our area. Because other states and communities toss their people that are problematic into our community because we have good weather and very liberal laws. And it's like a mental health refugee problem for us. And I get resentful because why should we as a community have to take care of other people who's like in Indianapolis or El Paso, Texas? They couldn't handle it.
So we're talking public comments right now. If you want to add anything, something not on the agenda,
Other comments about
life in general, related to public safety. Go ahead, sir. Your name.
So my name is Perry Bankston. I live in West Laurel Woods, City. Been there for 30 plus years. So just to comment on your question about your own statement and asking us, are you overreacting or not? So one of the first things that struck me about what you'd written here was that the crime statistics were for North Hollywood. They were not specific to Studio City. So I would have preferred that those statistics be published for Studio City. This is the Studio City Neighborhood Council. And to make assumptions from North Hollywood at large, and not Studio City specifically, is, I guess, to me, perhaps flawed. And so I would appreciate that sort of information in the future. In fact, when we had a previous senior lead officer, he used to actually publish a map of crimes in Studio City and publish it. I don't know, Sean Smith hasn't been doing that. Perhaps he's just catching up and getting up to speed. But in any event, that sort of thing. So I can react better to your statements if I actually understand what's happening in our neighborhood, is the whole North Hollywood division as a whole. So just...
Yeah, we're going to go dive into the motion and updated crime stats in a moment. The crime stats are provided via the divisions, and North Hollywood division encompasses Studio City, most of Studio City, Toluca Lake, North Hollywood, Valley Village, etc. So, yeah, of course, I would like to be even more granular, but we're lucky to even get these statistics. But the thing to remember is, because when we started, kind of in the early stages of this committee, I was the same way. We need Studio City numbers. But then I think Patty turned to me multiple times and said, we're the division. We're fighting for more patrol and more officers for the entire division.
Right.
So to just focus on Studio City actually hurts our cause, because it seems like we're just being narrow focused. We have to fight for all of North Hollywood division and even Van Nuys division, because parts of Studio City is under the Van Nuys division. So that's...
I take your point. Just something to push back, Patty, I don't know, is to start getting these maps. We used to get maps.
Right, I remember.
From Mike Smith.
And they'd have the
I'll bring
blue,
it up.
the
I'll bring
blue
it up.
dots, the red dots, the yellow dots.
Right, yes.
Different types of crimes.
No, it's a good point. We'll try to get more...
So those were really sort of helped, either frightening you or not, depending on where you live.
It's just more
LA Times does publish, they're able to do it by neighborhood.
They do.
So if you want a quick
Yeah.
glance, type in LA Times crime map, Studio City, and that exact information will
I was
be
just
on
gonna
there.
say.
So is that where that
Yeah.
all came from to begin with?
I mean, it could be you do it by neighborhood, by address, and date. So it's retractive. You keep on going back by month, by
I saw those a
week.
long time ago, and I sort of dropped off my radar screen.
The numbers we are getting are from, what's it, Crime Stats? What's it called? I forgot the name. I always forget the name. Crime, okay, I don't know.
So,
CompuStat.
Yeah.
so if I may
Go ahead.
continue here
Yeah,
a
please.
little bit. So apparently there's a sense in the room that Krikorian's not doing his job. Perhaps he's not. I don't know him personally, but no friend of his. I do know this. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was a party house on Doña Vida Place in Studio City, in which at 3:50 in the morning, I guess it was a Monday morning actually, gunfire, arguments ensued, gunfire broke out in the street, and the LAPD responded in force, although slightly slowly. I sent an email that morning to both Todd
Gilman.
and Jessica Fugate, and they were on the phone with me that day, following up on that incident. And within 2 weeks, there was a very small community meeting convened that included SLO Smith as well as the two folks from the city, Todd and Jessica. So my first reaction is that there is a response and there is interaction with the community at that level. At least we were able to catalyze that. And basically the message we got from them was, you know, the streets, you know, we have to take control of the streets because of the reason that LAPD is spread so thin. But in any event, my experience, we the neighborhoods, you know, neighborhood watches, you know, people communicating, reporting to the police. When things happen, you report to the police.
Mm-hmm.
You be prepared to identify yourself because if you report anonymously, it's not going to go anywhere. And so that may or may not be a very good situation to be in, but that was certainly one of the messages we got from them. And the other message was that SLO Smith pointed out that there were going to be more police resources coming to the valley. He was not as specific as the numbers you gave, but he said that the new chief is apparently he lives in the
He actually knows where the valley is.
Yes.
He lives in the valley.
Encino or Tarzana.
Right, yeah. And so, so he was optimistic of getting additional resources, and so I'm glad to hear that's actually going to happen. So I'll just cut it off at this point. I'm not as
All the while, though, our population is increasing tenfold, coming with all, you know.
Look, you can't, you know, that gets back. You know, neighborhoods have to know one another, have to stay in contact with
Yep,
one
you were
another.
correct with all that.
And
Absolutely.
be prepared, you know, but call the police. Call.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that North Hollywood Division, again, we're Studio City Falls, the most calls from any other Valley division. So people are calling in the problems, and that does help. Ma'am in the back first.
Yeah,
Your name, please.
Fran Calderon.
Hi, Fran.
You may have already addressed this, and I don't even know if it's pertinent, but we were talking about the North Hollywood Police Division.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to be driving on Lancashire and Chandler. I'm very rarely near there. But I was astonished at the mega development. And I'm wondering if we are going to get more support based on all those people that are going to be moving in.
We are.
Has that been addressed? Is anybody
I mean,
talking
that's
about it?
that's the ongoing argument of this committee. I mean, we keep on pointing it out to the police chief, to the police captain, to the mayor, to our councilman, that the population is growing and growing, but the allocation of resources is not keeping up with it. And they're hearing it from us. I know they're hearing it from me.
Right.
So please email Jessica, email the mayor.
Jessica.
Who's Jessica?
Jessica is the Councilman Kukorian's representative for our area, Jessica Fugate. After the meeting, I could give you all these emails. Or what's your name, ma'am?
Sherry Stevens.
Okay. Or give me your email, and I could give you a whole bunch of key individuals. In fact, let's pass around the sign-in sheets.
So how do we get more people? I mean, I was excited about this meeting. I saw you were going to be talking about safety. I spread it around in my little group on Nextdoor, and then also posted it on Facebook
Thank you.
and whatnot. And
Yeah.
this is it.
The meetings, they made meetings turnout fluctuates, some depending on who the speaker is, depending the topic. But yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of people get very angry, and not a lot of people are doing a lot of things.
Well, if you listen,
Yeah,
you know,
so-
if you read the threads on Nextdoor, people are really angry.
Absolutely.
And yet they go to the polls and they vote just the same way that they always have.
Correct.
Because there's a disconnect between the people running this state
Yep.
and this city and what's going on. And it's getting extremely frustrating.
Yep.
And-
It's just me, I know.
And I know you guys are doing, you're doing the
Whatever we
work
can
of
do.
it, but what can we do to get more more people here, more people activated. I don't think we're gonna be changing any laws, I really don't, but I'm ready to, you know, storm.
One thing I brought up, which I learned a little bit about, unfortunately, I learned not things I wanted to hear, but how you secede from the city of LA.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, hiding it out.
Because our thread, they were saying, the Burbank place, there's no homeless over there. Apparently
Oh,
they
it's
figured
better.
this out somehow.
They send them to us.
And, you know, we're not gonna get any attention, we don't have the tent cities that they have downtown or in Santa Monica. I mean, we have our, you know, 1-offs, 2-offs, we have problems, but, that bother us.
Sure.
But it's not the same as other places, so I felt like the only way we're gonna get control of our city is to become an incorporated city. And then I was told, when Beverly Hills did it, they passed a law that said for any neighborhood to secede from the city of LA, there has to be a vote of the entire city to approve it.
100%.
And that's how the neighborhood councils formed 15 years
Try to
ago.
answer that.
It was kind of like to pacify the valley,
Right.
they created these neighborhood councils. Fran, you said? Fran, if I could give this recommendation, while we focus,
Of LA
let me just say this.
has to approve for our little community to make its own city.
They won't let us go.
Yeah, let me just say this one point and then
It's a
we'll,
lot more.
It's a different committee.
No, they
Yeah, it's not.
before that law.
It's,
all right, let me just close this point to make you feel a little better. We're focusing on the big pressure. You see how the motion is tonight. And this is constant, these motions about patrol. And we're focusing on the bigger picture issue and putting the pressure on the councilman and the mayor and all of that. What you can do to, I think, start real small. We have a setback right now, Jesse, right? That's why you're here tonight. But when we focused on one area under a bridge, signs were put up, and we work with the business leaders at that particular point, we had a positive development. So if there's an issue, just go after that specific point, and that's what you go after Jessica about, or that's what you come to me about, or anyone on the committee. So just keep it to your block, to your wider, and then it'll make you'll see the positive results, and I think you'll feel better that you personally made a change. That's the only advice I could give. We're pushing hard for the big picture issues, and you know what? The fact that we might get 10 new officers for more patrol, that's a bit of a win. You know, I'm going to take that. There's not much that we've had to celebrate over the last couple of years, but that's a step in the right direction. So
Well, that's huge.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
so but change can be made. Small
What
change.
is the policy of the police if we call in about somebody that has started an encampment on our corner? I mean, what is their policy?
The policy.
it changed today.
It changes by the
today.
minute. There was negative changes today.
Let me see.
But this goes back to the point I was just trying to make, and I didn't quite say it right. There was it was on next door. It was along the river on Laurel Canyon near the Frog, and it was pointed out, and the community together all wrote in emails, all got that encampment cleaned up 4 days later. So when everyone,
And Laurel and
Yeah.
Downhart?
Oh.
We just passed it, and they're starting back again.
yeah, they're starting back
They
again.
come right back.
They come right back, but the pressure was put on, and that's what I'm trying to say. If something starts here, on Moore Park under the 170 before Vineland, it's quiet right now because the second an encampment pops up, I'm on top of it. I'm emailing the councilman's office, one after another. Other people are, and now that's not building into a thing. So every time one little one pops up, yeah, we all have to mobilize and make complaint.
That's the message they gave us, our neighborhood after that shooting.
Yeah,
Community.
that's the best we can do at this
Yeah,
point.
This was a party house that had been troubled for months, and they said you have to just jump on it and stay on it in order to get it shut down. And it is shut down now.
Wasn't that like an Airbnb house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's slightly disconnected, but it's
A short-term
longer.
rental,
I
right?
believe it got
Big
yellow
one.
tagged by the police department,
Yeah,
which
so-
means that the owner is gonna be.
That's correct. And
Yeah.
according to Sean, that was like the second or third house in the city, party house in yellow tag. You know, that's a new ordinance to have party houses yellow tagged.
If you're reading on Nextdoor and one of those items pop up, just send that email to Jessica in the councilman's office. Start with her. You could copy me, you could copy the board. Don't wait for instructions on that Nextdoor post. Just do it. Send those emails in immediately. I think that's key. Yes, ma'am. And your name, please.
My name's Maeve Meehan, and I live right across from the Studio City Rec Center, little park on Beeman and
Oh,
Bay. And I've had a fair amount of interaction with homeless, various different types of homeless, and seeing them do various other things. I'm sorry I came in late, but I wanted to first understand where you're at now. So you've been fighting to get more police officers. You're talking about the encampments. Do most of the community know what numbers to call if they see an encampment being put together? Do people understand the 311 system? Does the community have an easy way to take action? Because I noticed if you call the police department, they'll transfer you around, you'll be on hold a long time, and it's challenging that way. And also, what other things are you trying to get done that we can support you with?
Yeah.
Are you trying to get any type of police force that's dedicated to responding to the homeless or people that are dangerous out on the streets? North Hollywood, all of us have that problem where you've got mentally ill and drug addicted people, and normal phone call to the police, half an hour later they show up, the person's long gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a crime to be homeless.
No, it isn't, but if
So
they're
that's the-
mentally ill and harassing
Unless
people
there's a
or
threat.
threatening, exactly, that's the questioning. So are there already things in place where call this number for these sorts of situations? And what, like I say, what is it that you're trying to accomplish that the community can help you with?
I'll start with the easy part of that question. So really, I would say over the last 12 months, we started the process, it was November of last year.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, well, it was November of last year where we said, this is ridiculous with the allocation of resources. We saw that, and we put together, and over the time, we collected research data, information. We did a survey of Studio City residents. We've got other neighborhood councils involved to provide stats, and we put together, it came out to a 24-page document that is accessible for everyone to read, and it's been shared, that shares our concerns, the population growth, that things are not being kept, it's not being kept up with the population growth, et cetera. And that was, we published it, we shared it with, once again, with the mayor, all the councilmen. We got some response back.
That's what I was gonna say, what was the response that you got back?
Yeah, Councilman Rue did respond that obviously he takes it very seriously, that they're looking into increasing patrol. It was a encouraging letter back from them, blah, blah, blah.
But was there any action taken?
Well, he was saying that there are motions currently within the council
Where they're trying to
increase.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we did not hear back from Councilman Krikorian after multiple times that it was that I sent it over to them. So
That's
I went to the meeting with Chief Moore. I presented the document, and I spoke to them for a couple of minutes at that meeting with the police chief and the whole police panel commission. So we have been getting the word out, and we have the support of other local neighborhood councils that share our police division. So I don't, And the motion tonight, in fact, again, will apply that same pressure if it passes.
So trying to figure out a way to light a fire.
So it's
under
constantly trying,
actual
exactly,
take action.
exactly, just keeping the public safety and the police officers top of all their agendas. So that's basically what we've been focusing on in the last year. And so as far as I did post something this week on Nextdoor in the last 2 weeks about 311. And now I can't even remember what I posted, but it was the stats of how the community is using 311. Have you used it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been great.
It is.
I see graffiti on the wall. Within 24, 48 hours, it's gone. I didn't think that was possible. Of course, they pick up mattresses, not your mattress yet, Peter, but call it in.
And they're the primary resource for the homeless encampments as well, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought it was 311 was anti-blight, isn't it?
Both.
Well, you can report it, it doesn't mean that they will do anything, but
Yeah.
they'll put it on the list.
I got it.
So that is working.
Have you tried the app?
The app, yeah.
My LA 311.
And
It works.
as far as I think that's part of we get confused because what happens is we have the river that runs through Studio City.
Yeah.
So you hear, that's the county line, that's the city line, and it causes confusion. Keep fighting. Thanks for coming out. So that's part of the confusion that we face. We hear, this is county, this is city, who's responsible. So again, and at least I have, Jessica and I and the councilmen don't always see eye to eye about things, but at least when you contact her, she will say, okay, this is the county, I will forward it to the county person. So she is a good person, and there's Jessica, there's a few members under her that they all work on for this area. So it's not a bad person to start with. Or you could email me, and then I could forward it to her, or you could copy me, or it all helps.
Wait, you brought up the point about Nextdoor, which is a great resource, and I see lots of posts on
Yeah.
there from people upset, this happened, that happened, this was stolen. So there's a lot of activity, and I'm really surprised, where are these people?
Exactly.
Why aren't they here? And
Yeah.
and if they're not here, that means they're not writing to Krikorian. They're not putting the pressure to them, so they're upset. But I don't know, does this mean they're apathetic, or does
They're
this mean they just
venting
don't
through
know what they're
Nextdoor
supposed to
and
do?
No, I mean,
Social
I
media,
just
not
recently
physically
learned about
doing it,
311.
that's-
I'm just wondering if you feel comfortable sending out one of your emails saying, if you see,
Yes,
some safety
exactly.
issue, number one,
Yeah,
text 311. Number two, email,
Email
Krikorian.blah-blah-blah.com.
office.
Number three,
Right.
email, da-da-da-da-da. Just very,
I agree.
very cleanly.
because we have so many new people moving in
Okay,
all the time.
it's a good suggestion.
Even, what I've had a lot of success with is on Nextdoor, is when people complain, I will say to them, here's so-and-so's email, here's this person's
That's
phone
perfect.
number.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've done is I've actually given them a form letter and said, here's the letter you can use.
Yeah.
You can put it in your own words.
Yeah, we've done that many, many times over the last couple of
But
years.
is there a
But why?
page on the Studio City Council site, I'm stupid, I haven't looked at it myself, but that has encampment problem, bike stolen,
Peter
they
can
call
answer
these numbers, or,
Peter?
and so that we could send that link to everybody who posts on Nextdoor, say, hey, listen, go here, and then in it says, we're trying to get more police, send an email to Krikorian. If you're upset about an encampment, here's the number, so we can just do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, maybe some form letters. I see where you're going.
I'm happy to compile the list if people would email me the information.
There's already a
And then
list.
just make a little bullet point list, and every time somebody complains on Nextdoor, here you go.
Exactly, give them the
This is-
resources.
And it's
Yeah.
gotta be in the moment, because people
Yeah.
forget in an
Yeah.
instant.
Yeah.
But they're wild up about it, they'll do it right away.
All of them. Well, you don't know.
Okay, that's great, but if, you're not gonna get a gazillion people to do this stuff.
No.
You can't get, as I said earlier tonight, if we can get Krikorian to this committee, public safety,
Yeah.
with the media here, and publicize it all over his district.
Then
That's
you
what
light a
happens.
fire.
You gotta call this guy on the carpet, embarrass him,
Yeah.
and then I've said previously, recall him if he's not gonna do
Yeah,
his
just
job.
hold
Very
it.
good.
It's tough, it goes right to the top. You
When
can
is
send a
this
zillion emails, but if
2020.
this, I won't
No, it
use
has to
this
be
as
public
serious.
humiliation.
He's gotta be held responsible for the public eye,
That's the thing.
embarrassed,
That's
and
why
then
I've
we
been-
call him if he doesn't react.
Exactly.
Trying to get them to
I have a
come to our
question.
meeting,
I-
the board
Get the
meeting.
news media there.
I've noticed that a lot of the Studio City neighborhood council, they're homeowners, people have been there for a while. We have a huge percentage of renters.
That is not true, actually, because
Okay,
the
you are-
board is made up of a percentage of homeowners,
Right.
of renters, of business, business owners, so it is a mix.
Stakeholders.
And that's great.
Stakeholders.
All I was
It's
saying is
not all
that our
homeowners.
community is, we have, I don't know the numbers exactly, but it looks like we've got a lot more apartments going in, condos going in, a hell of a lot of new people coming,
Yeah.
folks going. It is, how are we letting those folks know about this? When a tenant moves into a building, they don't know unless somebody mentions it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we,
write them on next door.
Yeah.
You can send an invitation.
Yeah.
And then if we had that kind of list, just something
You know,
very
introduce them
succinct,
to the
then we
community,
just,
say get involved.
because I know I do that, with my little group.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
on my block,
Yeah.
the people in my
Well, we have,
little neighborhood.
we have someone on our committee who's a real estate agent, right?
Alex's.
Because that's a great way, that's who has most communication with people moving in and out of,
You're
moving
right.
into the area, real estate agents.
Yeah.
And that's really easy to disseminate information to the real estate
I think
companies
there
around
was a
here.
welcome to Studio City packet at one point, which
Yeah,
kind of
defend
got lost.
yourself. Welcome to learn how to defend
You know,
yourself.
you know what, I want to take your idea a step further. Yeah, I think we could almost have almost like a form letter. We've done form letters in the past, but maybe it's a form letter for encampment, form letter for more police resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe something like that, and then we post it on Nextdoor. I do a blast with okay,
And then we can then
I'll
help
send it to
disseminate
Footbridge
it.
Square then too.
and then Footbridge Square. She has a lot of that good
She
information.
does,
too.
yeah.
Maybe I'll start with there. Okay, let's start wrapping up public comment. Peter, you want to say
So
something?
I did post on Nextdoor, which I believe I might have got from you, or you, I'm not sure, there's a 311 services card. I don't know where it came from, but I cross-posted it. Oh, it said it came from Rob McGrath.
That's Rob that does the stats for us.
Yeah.
So it's on Nextdoor, and it's who to call, where, for whatever, so.
Yeah, what, is that the post I made?
Great.
I started the post, I don't know, I probably took it
So
from
Rob-
one of yours.
Rob
so.
posted it?
Yeah, the card, it says
second.
thanks to Rob McGrath from NOAA for putting this card together.
There was some interesting stats.
Right.
And then they're buried,
But it should be on the neighborhood council website, so everybody can find it.
This is why if you have a couple of people like myself who read the posts, and then immediately if there's a problem, I'll usually just send them the information.
One thing to note,
A page on their website, then we can get all the new people aware about the council, make sure people are more involved.
Yeah,
Because we need one place where everyone's
I don't
communicating
think a lot
about
of
these
people
issues.
go to the website.
They don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. That's why Nextdoor is so important.
Yeah.
And Facebook,
Do what?
you have to be a member.
Yeah.
We do have a website.
But we can
Where
just
people
send
can
a
post
link
complaints or
to
things.
their
They can,
page
yes,
that will
yes.
have all the information
You know
on
what?
it.
Who reads it?
People
We
won't
read it. The
take
board gets it.
time to press a link.
Jess?
One thing, let me just say that the police department does not look at Nextdoor, any of the posts, or any
Yeah.
Facebook or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But we do at CPAB, we pick out the Nextdoor posts and the key issues, and then we bring it up at our meeting once a month. So we are getting through, it's just that they cannot answer.
Of course.
They would be just answering on Nextdoor and not doing anything else.
Right.
Okay,
But it
let's-
is getting through them.
I took your advice just now and went to the LA crime map for October. And what I'm seeing is pretty creepy because in most of the city, things seem to be very calm. There are only 5 red spots in the entire city where, quote, red means violent crime up significantly. And those 2 areas in the valley, there's only 2 in the valley,
and they are Valley Glen and Panorama City.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk about violent crime in just a second.
Well, that's
And I have
just,
bad numbers to share.
that's right there.
Yeah, I know. It's,
And there's only 5 in the entire city. That includes South Central.
yeah, I'm not
Long
surprised.
Beach,
That matches what I
Long
have.
Beach. So that's pretty concerning.
A little
You see
less,
little red.
a little less concerning, just to, so the 311, just for curiosity's sake, for Studio City, this is specific. 311 requests are up 36%, which is good, I guess. All categories are up except streetlight complaints, dead animal complaints, and electronic waste. Homeless encampments, 311 requests are up 135%.
Shocking.
So, all right, so we will move on from public comments, and you will have a chance to make further comments after motion number 5. So I'm going to read it. There's copies of the agenda here if you wanted a copy. I like what you said, Fran, and bullets and emails. I'm going to look into doing that. So I'm going to just read this. So for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, what happens with these motions is all motions start in the committees. There are different committees on Studio City Neighborhood Council. So this is a public safety related motion. It then, if it passes here, it goes to the full board at our monthly meeting. If it passes the full board, that's when I'm able to start sending it out to all the elected leaders and reminding them of the issue. So that's usually the procedure regarding these motions. So, based on crime statistics, negative resident and business proprietor feedback, and the overall lack of action from our elected leaders, the Studio City Neighborhood Council is deeply concerned regarding the direction of public safety in the East Valley. The City of Los Angeles is inadequately protecting local stakeholders as LAPD resources are not sufficiently being directed to our local police divisions, thus resulting in a lack of suitable patrol and an increase in violent crime. I'm going to add amended numbers right now, more up to date. So we'll add this to the motion. Violent crime is up 8.7% in North Hollywood Division, while citywide it is down negative 2.7%. Aggravated assault is up 13.3% in North Hollywood Division, while citywide it is down 0.3%. Robbery has increased 6.1% in North Hollywood Division, while citywide it is down 4.6%. The highest among all Valley divisions, calls for service in the North Hollywood Bureau have increased plus 9.9% year to date. This percent increase is above both the Valley Bureau and citywide average. Crime stats that I just presented are between 1/1/18 to 10/20/18 versus the comparable 2017 period. So continuing with the motion, effective immediately, we demand suitable funding, resources, and appropriate personnel allocation for the North Hollywood and Van Nuys police divisions. And then I make for further details, please find an August 2018 report prepared by the Studio City Neighborhood Council Public Safety Committee, and that's the report I was referencing. So I will tell you 2 bits of good information. On the plus side, property crime is down 5.3% in North Hollywood, which is greater than the city average. So a little bit of good news there. We will first open it up to public comments on this motion, and then we'll take board comments. Any further public? Yes.
I have a question. On those statistics, has the police department provided you with information as far as this is the violent crime specifically? Is that predominantly happening? Is it homeless on homeless? Is it citizen residents on residents? Do we know?
If you ask them from
Yeah.
past recent experience, they will say it's homeless on homeless. But I've been thinking a lot about that, so I'm glad you brought it up. The city can't have it both ways. The city can't say, well, the crime's not a big problem because this is a homeless on homeless issue.
Exactly.
And then at the same time, you know,
Yeah, you can't label it as being a lesser crime because you consider
Right.
an individual
Because
a
that-
lesser individual.
exactly, because the
Yes.
city is saying these are your residents, these
Right.
are,
Because it can obviously spill over on everything else.
so a person's a person and a crime's a crime.
That's right, right. And the other question to that is, when you have statistics that have an uptick like that, a lot of times it's like one or two people that are behind it. Have the cops talked at all about that? Do they have any idea what's behind the violent crime?
What, did they dive into any at the CPAB meeting?
If they do, they really can't
not
disclose the
elaborating.
information.
Yeah, the aggravated assault numbers last year was 472 to date, now it's 535, hence the 13.3 increase. Rape is down from 69, 2017 year to date, to 59, that's down 10, so down 14.5%. And yeah, those are, crime statistics, first of all, are pretty hard to even get your hands on. So we're very lucky. Yeah, it's a sensitive topic. Rob, who's in the North Hollywood NoHo Neighborhood Council, helps collect this crime data, and it's been a tremendous help for what we're working on. So any other public comments on this motion? Yes, sir.
Just a comment. So this is a confrontational motion.
Correct.
And that's
The way it's
fine.
worded now, yes.
And that's fine. In fact, I would only change one word. And your statement, and the overall lack of action from our elected leaders. So if I were to change this, I would remove overall and put perceived lack of action. Because if they were in the room here, I know you want to go in the room, they're going to have a lot of answers for you about what they have been doing. And so, I think,
Insufficient action.
yeah, all right.
Okay, that's good.
And
That's better.
they can decide what's
Yeah.
insufficient and what isn't.
Yeah, that
But
is good.
if you look at these, at the red blobs I just saw, Valley Glen being one of only 5 red blobs, that's entirely too close to comfort. I'm not
I mean,
sure.
that's
what the
actually a
spec-
brilliant statement
what
to
the
put in there.
Were both of
What's
those
the
areas
space?
in his district?
Yeah.
I mean, you might consider
Not
just adding
gonna
that one
understand
line.
if it goes that
There's
far.
only 5
That's
Valley
in the
Glen.
entire city, and we're one of the 5. I mean, that's a pretty.
Yeah, they influence their echo market.
We have to get it right, because once I can't go back and do the research and add it, once we're voting on the motion. So
Okay.
if we don't have it completely right, then it could cause a problem. I'm sure you're right, and I'm sure it's going to be confirmed,
I
but
don't know, I'm reading off the LA Times website.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty scary when you see Valley Glen, one of only.
well, you know what I can do?
That's
Put
a
up in
surprise.
ranks.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a closer look at that, and like I said, we're constantly coming up with these motions, so I could build another motion around exactly
Right.
that.
And it's also adjusted at the board meeting anyway, so it could.
Yeah, I could adjust it at
That's
the board
true.
meeting. So I'm going to take a.
You know what, I have a comment about the overall.
Well, first we have to finish public comment,
Oh, okay.
and then you can go. Any other public comment? Marcia, just keep the enthusiasm. Anything else? Yes, Fran?
So the statistics of the statistics and these are crimes, and I think the thing that I'm most interested in is what the police can do to mitigate these crimes. And a lot of what I get from Officer Smith and Officer Lewis before Officer Smith was sort of this throwing of hands in the air and saying, our hands are tied behind our back and whatnot. And I know that this probably is not anything you could put in here, but how do we address that? I mean,
Is it the motivation you're talking about, or
Well,
their feeling of helplessness?
They're bound by the
if
laws.
they're not able to arrest a lot of the people, or if they are, the people are out.
Out right away,
you know,
yeah.
immediately.
Right. Well, I think the stance we've, again, I'm really not supposed to, this is not a question and answer portion, but a lot of questions are coming to us. I think the stance, speaking on behalf of the committee, we know it's hard to change the laws, but at least if we have that greater patrol presence and visibility, at least maybe it'll stop the crimes from happening, so they don't have to worry about whether to arrest them or not arrest them or being bound. So that's kind of how I and we have been looking at it.
Because the criminals know how to work the system.
Yeah.
Right, they see that there's not a presence around, they can get away with it.
They're actually reading next door.
Oh, no, really?
Well,
I believe it.
On their free
we have
iPhones.
shop owners
On
on
their free
Tohoto, which is my neighborhood, Woodbridge Park. And, you know, people are just coming in and taking stuff off the rack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no deterrent. We're trying to at least build a climate of some deterrent across the community. Okay, board comments.
And that, your comment, sir, about changing overall lack of action, I would just change the word overall to specific. Specific lack of response.
So we have insufficient, we have specific.
Because we have presented very specific problems to our elected officials, and we don't get any response.
It's unsatisfactory.
So I would say specific lack of response.
All right, we'll talk it among the board.
Yes, we can talk about that.
Unsatisfactory.
Also, I would like to bring up another, I'm originally from Michigan. There are no proposals ever in the state of Michigan when you vote. We were just there, and I looked at my mother-in-law's absentee ballot. I think there were 2 proposals, and they're very general. We get a preponderance of these proposals that are very difficult to understand. I think that we should have a grassroots movement to strike down that $950 shoplifting law. That is an inducement. It's basically a free-for-all in our community. You know, if these proposals, I don't know how many signatures you need to get something on a ballot.
Something
I would like
Yeah.
to do that to try to repeal this law.
Yeah, that's not a
The
bad idea.
$950, you know, because
Would government affairs do that?
I mean, I'll check with government affairs, but I mean, when you look and see what's on the ballot, like where do these? All you need is a certain amount of signatures.
Yeah.
But this is one $950.
Well, I like it because you could wrap your head around it, meaning you could rally people around it. Like, that's ridiculous.
If you talk to people about it, they're like, "What? It's $950?" I know some like struggling actors that said, "I can go to Target and really take that much." You know, it's like
I heard in the news Sephora almost every day. They're
Is
getting
that-
hit up for thousands of dollars.
Is that all over LA now?
is that
They put it in their plan.
City,
their business.
state.
is that state or city?
State, right?
No, I think it's
$950.
Because there's, I know
Maybe
the Walgreens on the corner of Ventura and Vineland. They told me on a regular basis, people come in, just pick up what they want and walk out. And she says, we've been told, we don't chase them, don't do anything,
Right.
just let them go.
So maybe we can start a motion here and start to grow it to get a signature campaign to.
Marcia, another good assignment for Marcia Newman. She's coming up with these ideas. I love it.
But it's not clear, you're saying that if you steal less, you get back to the broken window. If you have a law like that.
Can we start a subcommittee
It's a
here?
misdemeanor.
Can we start a subcommittee to start this?
How about a committee? He's just right.
Calculators in to make sure they're under that.
Yeah,
Most people from this is not a story, it's a story.
Right, the shop owners on Tohoto, I mean Verona, there's a little shop.
The businesses are calculating it in their business.
We pay more for it. It's called shrinkage.
All right, any other board comments on this motion?
Oh, which word do you want to use?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. So,
I say specific.
so we have insufficient, let me see, and the
Unsatisfactory.
unsatisfactory.
Specific response. We need specific. And
I liked insufficient too.
insufficient.
I like insufficient. Because how can they disagree with it? being
Okay.
insufficient.
Right.
You know. it's
Do I use
insufficient,
sufficient
right?
in the same sentence somewhere?
And the overall what? The overall insufficient or the insufficient lack of action?
And the
Resources that are not
insufficient
sufficiently being directed.
Where's that?
Ostracized.
Yes, yeah, you
You used inadequate, 2 or 3 sentences down. Insufficient, inadequate.
or, I used inadequate already in that
Right,
sentence.
but you didn't use insufficient,
I used not sufficiently.
not sufficient.
Are you concerned about redundancy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Wait, the city village is inadequate.
Yeah.
Look at
Unsatis-
that, how we started the grassroots campaign to rescind that $950 shoplifting.
So what was the
We're on this one now.
word we were looking at?
Well, you know what?
Unsatisfactory.
Satisfactory or
Resources being
In
directed
Marcia's
to our local
defense,
police division.
we do
Wait,
want,
hold on one
Do you want
second.
specific?
we do want specific
yeah.
things happening. Insufficient is a general term. Oh, we're complaining because it's
We
in.
want to know, he's going to go to the mayor and he's going to
And the
do
specific-
Yeah.
a budget analysis of
Oh,
cost
yeah, I could be
benefit.
convinced on specific.
And let the board play with it.
Specific lack
And
of
let the board
action.
play with it. It's
Okay.
gonna get adjusted.
He's got a staff, they can do cost benefit
All right.
analysis.
How about just leaving it,
He gets paid
and the
for it,
lack
we
of
know.
action from our leaders? It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to have something there. You don't have to have specific, insufficient, or anything. It's just a lack of action.
Yeah, I mean, the board doesn't love when I add, you know,
You have to look
What,
a little
adjectives?
flowery.
when, yeah, they,
When it's attacking.
when it's attacking. So if we take away, if we just make it and the lack of action, it's more likely to get.
Okay, so just do what you
So,
think's going to
okay.
get the point across, but pass it
So the
forward.
sentence will be, based on crime statistics, negative resident and business proprietor feedback, and the lack of action from our elected leaders, the Studio City Neighborhood Council is deeply concerned regarding the direction of public safety in the East Valley.
Okay.
All right, so the board will vote. Marcia Newman,
We already,
For,
Patty Kirby,
Yes, for.
Patrice Berlin, Rachel Tobias,
Emphatic for.
Craig Radow, yes, 4. So it passes 5-0. It'll go to the full board at the November 14th meeting, which, is it not coincidentally, or coincidentally? No, not coincidentally.
Will you promise to invite Gregorian like you said you would?
Well, he's,
he is
Oh,
one.
yeah.
He will be at that meeting.
You said you'd invite him to one of these
Oh,
meetings.
that's good, yeah.
I will have let's put it this way, I will have a period of time to hopefully say my comments, and I will consider that as part of my comments to Councilman Krikorian. But I truthfully don't see him going to that meeting and then our meeting a month later. I mean,
Tell us
but-
we'll serve
I mean,
cookies.
but at least you could have a paper trail on that and invite him formally
Yep.
in writing.
I'm
The way-
writing it
the
down.
way
If he
to
doesn't
do it
show up, it's
is-
just another mark against
The way to do it is that Studio City Council in general would have a community meeting on
Yeah.
that subject.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
a better
not
way to do it.
directed at him, that way he would be more
Yeah.
likely to come and.
If he knows he's coming into a,
Just lets him off the hook.
No,
I
that,
get it, I know what you're saying.
But it's the only way to get him into a room.
to be honest, what I'm trying to, I would like to get the chief here. I mean, that would be,
oh, I know, that'd be amazing.
that would be a big win,
Yeah.
obviously,
That'd be
so.
great, but I'm telling you, it's the elected, it's the official who's elected, who's not doing his job.
Yeah,
He would make the argument, Councilman Krikorian would make the argument that he would delicately say it, but that it's Chief Moore, because Captain Graham said it himself. At the end of the day, it's the chief who is sending the allocation of patrol and officers across the city.
Who makes the request for more?
Exactly.
however,
Peter?
But what you can't deny is that every single newsletter that Krikorian's office puts out has nothing to do with our issues. It's
Correct.
all about some
Exactly.
event.
Can't deny that.
So he doesn't.
Yeah, and I said that to the office many times. I would like to see a little public safety updates. Okay, so that will pass. We'll move on to the full board. And then the next motion, I'm going to pass it over to Rachel, who came up with this idea. So if you don't like it, it's Rachel, not me.
Okay.
Go ahead, please read.
In the event of a major Los Angeles emergency, such as high-level natural disaster, the response timing of first responders will be essential. Therefore, the Studio City Neighborhood Council recommends the City of Los Angeles to develop and offer an incentive program to first responders, including law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT leaders for residing within the city. I just found out, statistically speaking, LAFD said it's 35% of first response teams don't live in Los Angeles.
They don't live in Simi Valley.
Correct.
So 35% live outside the city?
Correct.
So our,
Too expensive.
It's expensive.
So what do they
LAPD lives mostly outside of LA.
Yeah,
Most of the
Sean.
office.
Yeah.
But you don't know the percentage,
I can ask,
So,
but I don't know if they
wait,
would
wait,
give it to us.
Here's a quick question here. So you're saying LAFD in particular?
No.
No, I'm sorry, I got that, the percentage number, that statistical number came from LAFD.
Okay, but, okay. I'm just thinking, in a large earthquake, say in a very southern section lets loose, we have a lot of firefighters and police presence trapped in CD. That's not.
They live in those areas, yeah.
Santa Clarita.
As we remember from the Northridge.
Hence the idea she came up with for this.
As well as our food supply is
Yeah.
not in LA, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
well, I wanted to bring up a couple of points on that. I've gone through the CERT training, I used to live in the area and do business continuity and stuff. So the issue of first responders, one thing that's really important is what we have now, we've got millions of people in the city, but at any given time, we've only got about 1,000 or 1,100 individuals total that will respond to an emergency. So when you've got something like a catastrophic earthquake, they will tell you, basically you're going to be on your own for at least 3 days, possibly up to 2 weeks. And if you call in with a heart attack, they're not showing up. They're going to the hospitals, they're going to major things. So one of the things that is important is if they live in your community, that's a plus, but it can also be a minus. I'll tell you why. Because if they're involved in the disaster, they're at home with their own families and trying to shore up their houses. So sometimes it's good to have them out of the area because they know, okay, that's fine, and they can focus on you. We've had problems with that up with the earthquake in Northern California, where your first responders, they're hurt, they're injured, their family's going through a catastrophic event, and they're not showing up on the job. They're busy trying to get their family out of rubble and things like that. So one of the main things I think is important is, as a community, people don't seem to really grasp the fact that if there is something catastrophic like an earthquake, there will not be help. Cell phones won't work, phones won't work, so people need to be trained as to what to do and how to handle those situations. And that's really difficult because nobody likes to plan for this stuff. But that's as important as having your support staff, because your neighbor is the one that's going to decide if you live or die if it's something catastrophic. Because they'll be there for that golden 40 minutes to an hour to keep you alive.
3 years in a row, we've put on an emergency summit, and we get 200-300 people, and we have room for 600, 800 people, and people just, it's just not something that people pay attention to.
It's a weird thing.
Once a day, because that one day, people
No,
have to be
but the city
somewhere.
has a program, Ryland, Ready Your LA Neighborhood. Red Cross has Map Your Neighborhood. I teach both of those and work with setting up those. So it is going to be neighbor by neighbor, neighborhood by
Motivate each
neighborhood.
other. But you're absolutely right, that's the core problem. The resources are there, but we have to figure out a way to get the community to understand, look, just learn this stuff. So you have to back pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, it's very hard. Yeah, that's what's so ridiculous about it. Well, the sad part is, if you're the one that's trapped, you're the one that's gonna die.
Hey, I look after myself.
Yeah, we're doing as best we can with neighborhood watch groups,
Yeah.
incorporating emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
Instead of,
It just
keep
takes
hope.
a mountain to get
It
people to pay attention.
it's
And
very,
oversee.
very difficult. I know exactly what you're going through. You can't, no one's been able to crack that
But
nut.
I'm telling you, today, I was actually with all the emergency managers, LA County, LA City, Caltech, today, and it's the same thing. People just, the city is not ready.
None of them are.
Fran? No? I thought your hand was up. Good on public comments? So for the board, anything, what I was just telling Rachel, is there a way of working in incentive program to reward first responders community outreach programs?
I see this as a very difficult thing to tackle,
You-
honestly.
I do too.
And there might be other fish to fry. I do love the concept, but you can't, I mean, they want to be out of the city because they don't want to be working in this, living in the city where they're working.
Yeah.
That's one point
Yeah.
right there. So,
Can't afford it.
And they can't
and they
afford
can't
it.
afford it.
Okay. You
Well,
wanna
the
take it back
firefighters
and
are actually
work
in
it?
the station. You know, they live in the station when they're on duty,
All right.
so.
Right.
All right, so we're going to
It's-
pull this one
yeah.
off, and Rachel will take another look, and, because I do think it's important we have a few more motions. We've been focused a lot on police, but we need to focus, we are public safety, so these motions are very important, so if we could come up with something else. Maybe work with Patty, because run it by her before. All right, now you attended item number 7.
Yeah.
Could you give us an update, the Resilience Los Angeles?
So for people who don't know, in 2013, Los Angeles was selected amongst, of all the cities in the world, through the Rockefeller Foundation, they're nominated, sorry, I'm gonna try, let me scratch that and start over. 2013, Los Angeles was selected as a member of the 100 Resilient City Network, and it's pioneered by Rockefeller Foundation in an effort to help cities around the world become more resilient to physical, social, and economic challenges in the 21st century. We've met now twice in the past month, and basically as a liaison, I've gone and sat with other resilience liaisons from neighborhood councils across the city, and it's a little bit not structured right now. We're still kind of in discussion about what the city has presented as a way to become more resilient, and how they deemed for us to create a template that each city will then go and make policy for their neighborhood. So like, for example, how we respond to emergency preparedness as a board. What happens when this facility crumbles? Where is the next location that you guys would
So
be
it's
meeting?
starting larger, and then it's getting granular for all the neighborhoods?
Yes, basically, like, yes, each neighborhood will select the certain policies, resilient policies, that we will then
And
follow.
what's the timeline on this?
It has to be done by December of next year,
2019.
And this is all for earthquake or fire or?
It's not just emergency preparedness. Some of it deals with, like, the way we deal with heat in urban areas. If there's a brownout, what do we do to mitigate people who are, affected by it? They specifically said our committee, the Public Safety Committee, needs to take responsibility and build a Plan B for the Neighborhood Council.
So they're putting it on us?
They're putting it on us.
Neighborhood council for what?
How the Neighborhood Council functions with recovery. With recovery in an emergency.
That's, you guys, that doesn't affect the rest of us, right? Yes.
Well, we are your local micro-government.
Well, I think what she's saying is you just want to come up with a plan for your council, not for the community.
Well, are you saying how the board would respond in face of an emergency, and then how we help the community?
Correct.
Right. Yeah, of course, it's how to help.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was
It's not just disasters, but yeah.
So you have more meetings coming up?
Yeah, it's gonna be quarterly.
What government agencies are behind you on that are involved and listening and engaged?
It's Empower Los Angeles, it's with the mayor's office.
So the mayor's office is in.
Yes.
So they're listening and paying attention.
They're the ones that are having us do this, like, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Do you
It's the
feel
mayor's
that other
policy.
neighborhood council representatives are attending, or?
Yes, there are quite a few that are showing up.
Oh, good.
And the key thing too is that, I don't know if we participate as a board, if there's somebody that goes to the Neighborhood Alliance. But the idea that
No.
each neighborhood council, if they're doing something effectively, like for example, which area it was, Bel Air, when there was the fire over the summer, they had already in place the radio response time because they, on a monthly basis, at Monday,
Yeah.
first thing of the month, they get on the radio and they do their checks to make sure that everybody has keyed in and knows what to do in terms of.
Yeah,
response.
the radio experts, they were here before you were on the committee.
Yeah.
They were here
Yeah.
and they spoke to us. So it might help if you connect with them.
And how is this different from the CERT? Because they have radio training as part of that.
Exactly.
So
What was the
where's
name of
overlap?
that? The auxiliary?
Oh, the 911?
No, it was the
remember
ham- their ham radio
The ham
operators.
radio
Oh, yeah.
operators.
Yeah, that's.
They came at the same meeting, we had a CERT presentation, they were there and they do
Right.
work
And
together.
the head of it
That's
was
why I
from
just
Bel Air.
trying to get
Was from Bel Air.
clarification as to where, where the lines are, who's doing what. So it sounds like they are overlapping here.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we need to clarify on a local level.
Streamline, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be nice to organize a ham radio class for residents who want to.
Oh, these guys are great, they would love to do
Yeah,
that.
they've got free classes on all this and radio operation and also how to set up communications because we don't have cell phones or whatever, they're really big. So they actually offer free classes where you learn how to set up radios, what frequencies to use, and then within your community, you talk to each other and you decide, okay, you're gonna have radio, you're gonna have radio, and then when something happens, people can actually communicate, and they don't have, because you may not physically be able to get from point A to point B. So it's great, it's all free.
Well, it
I was gonna email you some other things, so you said Sherry, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll email you the,
I just have to say that my husband, Fred, is a ham radio operator since the age of 13. He's at the most advanced class, knows Morse code. And in order to use these radios, you do have to have a license, you have to purchase them. These are all expensive propositions.
Well,
And-
that's
the radios they're
all-
talking about are the
right.
ones you don't need a license.
Right,
They have
exactly.
limited range.
Right.
Correct.
And they're
Okay.
talking about within neighborhoods.
Right.
to use
Exactly.
it.
It's just
Communicate with
facilitating
people in your neighborhood.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, like when you first start, we're setting it up at Incident Command Center, and you have to send people out, you say, hey, take the radio, tell me what's going on with that gas leak or that house fire, and they can communicate that.
Yeah, as Marcia said though, if you're talking about longer range communication,
Yeah, then you have to get
have
something
a
more.
license.
I just want to throw out one other thing about natural catastrophes like earthquakes and the importance of ham radio operators. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, Mexico City had a devastating earthquake, right?
Yep.
And
It's
Fred,
5 or 6.
and Fred ran emergency communication in Farmington Hills, Michigan, to and from people in Mexico City.
That's right.
So what I'm thinking is maybe we need a sister city in, not on the West Coast, on a fault line, maybe in Chicago, okay? Ham radio operators that can be it's actually our contingency communication source for our local community.
Actually, the ham radio operators already kind of have that. They know each other and they talk to each other. And if you go to any of the radio classes, they'll tell you who they talk to, who they interact with. But yeah, it's part of setting up your communication network. So this person go to first because he's got those connections outside. But it is possible to get the ham radio and the license. It's not that difficult, and it isn't that expensive anymore.
The radios are $100. I have a radio.
Yeah, there you go.
some good points this evening from everyone.
Well, the lower class licenses are limited to hitting towers in line of sight. If you're gonna communicate outside of the community, you're going on frequencies that, completely different frequencies, but I think that they got that covered.
They do.
There's a network of amateur radio operators that are tied with the police and
Yep,
stuff.
absolutely.
And also the military, so.
And that's what makes it so great, because they already know those connections. So if you have one or two of those guys in your community, you tag them, and they're your e-ticket out. You know,
We
they let you
actually
know.
do have
The fact of the matter, they're the only means, if the cell system goes down,
He's
which
right.
it will,
He's
Yeah.
right,
amateur radio is the only means, the military knows that also,
yeah,
that can communicate outside of the city,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
All right,
that-
Rachel,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna add one more. So I'm a Hurricane Katrina survivor, and I also lived in DC during 9/11. So radio systems were crucial at that point. A lot of people in DC, as soon as the cells went down, if people wanted to go home and all the streets were closed, you ended up talking to truck drivers who used radio systems to communicate with each other to find out which streets were available to the public to get home
The
to.
problem is there are fewer and fewer amateur radio operators because of the internet, it doesn't excite younger people.
Right.
The other problem is local ordinances that restrict antennas. Beverly Hills, they say you'll have to go to the Supreme Court to put a tower up in Beverly Hills, but that's their problem then if everything goes down.
Yeah.
They'll get screwed and they bought it themselves, so, you know.
You wanna,
But actually,
Yeah.
that's a really good point, that goes back to your issue about motivating people about preparedness, citing things like that, saying, listen, you won't be able to communicate with anybody. So, you know, your story is very important, because that's what resonates. If you say, you need to prepare and have water, it's like, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
no one
blah,
ever
blah,
thinks it
blah.
happens to them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but if
true.
you say, listen, guess what, your cell phone isn't gonna work, your phone doesn't work, what are you gonna do?
yeah,
Then people get a little more like, gee, what would I do?
right.
And if you work in Orange County, but you live in Studio City, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. we're-
Peter?
The best time to bring that topic up is when we have like a 3.5 or 4.5, and everyone goes, whoa, they start thinking about it again, so.
Yeah, I think that's what maybe Chernobyl as well, to have something.
Yeah, we didn't have an earthquake happen right before the event.
Speaking of earthquakes,
Speaking of earthquakes, so California Earthquake Authority, if you're not familiar with this program, it's a lottery system right now. They're trying to get more funding, but and Studio City, unfortunately, is not one of those cities who won the lottery this time around, but they're providing a $3,000 seismic incentive if you get your home retrofitted with bolting to the foundation. So I'll remind everybody if Studio City comes up on the
91607 is, I actually won.
Oh, you got one of the things, okay, well, if you sign up
So
for it.
parts of Studio City are on there, but
Yeah,
not always.
but they answered a lot of questions, and I couldn't figure out why they seem like reasonable questions, but for some reason they kicked me out and.
Well, you have to have a crawl space of a certain height.
Have it? Well, I thought I had everything needed, but it said, sorry, you don't qualify. So I was curious as to what the criteria was that they needed, if anyone knew. But,
It
I
says it
don't
on the
think-
website,
yeah.
earthquake brace and.
I got an email from,
Is that
the whole
what you
board
meant?
did today, and Ousley from the mitigation, I don't know, earthquake brace bolt.
That's
they
it,
have like 12
that's them.
questions. And I thought, oh, okay.
You know, you can call them too.
We went to the whole
They're
board
very
meeting,
good
right?
on the phone.
What time did it come in?
Just ask them
3
why you
hours
didn't call.
ago.
What knocked you out? Did you answer the wrong question? Or a question?
Yeah,
wrong?
that right.
Or is there something, you know, some little thing that I didn't.
And I didn't sign up until later
Are
in
you-
the day.
I'm gonna leave this up there in case you guys wanna check
Maybe you
your
could take a
zip
photo
codes
or
and-
something.
Yeah, because there's contact information here.
And I could forward you this email, let's see, I have yours here, I'll send this bolt thing. Okay, so we'll start, yeah, thank you, keep us updated.
I don't wanna be the sole person creating policy for how the
No.
neighborhood council.
Marcia will do it.
No, but I would love, is there a way to get a board going?
Meeting.
To, like a subcommittee, excuse me.
You get funny with subcommittees, so it will probably, it would fall on the Public Safety Committee. No, you wouldn't be the only one to do it, and I think if you come to the board meeting, once you get a little more info
Yeah.
and state what you need, people might be interested in the
Right.
topic.
Okay, all right.
And then maybe bring up a subcommittee, but I've tried bringing up subcommittees before, and it gets a little odd.
Okay.
But no, you wouldn't be doing it alone. Okay, anything else to add, Patty, about CPAB?
We do have bicycle, police on bicycles.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah,
What's this?
correct. They're mostly Ventura Boulevard and by the library.
Positive.
Anywhere where the homeless are gathering. And what they're trying to do is be proactive and maybe stop and talk to Agnes and say, Agnes, you can't light a fire. We can't arrest you for lighting a fire, but please, So they're trying to be more proactive and visible with the guys on the, and they're trying to get back the horses too. But,
Oh, wow.
That'd be amazing.
Are they riding along LA River too?
Not right now, as far as I know. They're on Ventura, down by the subway station, library, the main hotspots. So,
So what's the situation with the bikes? I remember when I lived in the North Valley, like 30 years ago, we all donated money to get the bikes for the police department. Is it something that they need money for?
No, they've got money for that. It's just the police,
The officers.
the
Okay.
staff,
Got
the
it.
officers to do it. But that's big progress, I think.
Do you think you could pull any strings for Chief Moore?
Do I think I could? I don't know.
Or at least maybe give me an email address? His email is pretty
no,
hidden.
I could do that.
Wait for it to
Yeah.
come here?
Yeah.
I actually have his handler's card, because I went to a meeting
I'll take that too.
Yeah.
I can write an email. I've been trying to chase after him on social media, but. So we'll conclude things. Some people have commented tonight on the attendance. Also, just keep in mind, it dawned on me, that we do record these meetings, and many of these meetings get, a few hundred people watching. So everyone chooses to participate in their own way. Some attend, some are on the board, some of us are elected, some of us are on the committee. Some are on Nextdoor ranting, some send emails, so you can't make judgments of how other people are responding to situations. We all choose to handle it on our own independently. One key thing that this committee is trying to do in the upcoming month or two, I have submitted a request for $1,000 to put towards a CPR event. The NoHo Neighborhood Council had a successful CPR event recently that booked up immediately, and I think if we have that, it will book up as well. So that $1,000 motion is going in front of the board also on November 14th, and then hopefully in December or January we'll get a CPR event on our for this committee.
Who would teach it?
Oh, it's the North Hollywood.
Red Cross?
No, it's not the Red Cross. North Hollywood. I'm going to make up the name.
But they're professionals.
Oh yeah,
That's what they do.
they'll bring the dummies.
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Are they giving you a good, how are they charging?
It seemed fine. I wasn't going to. The board has the money for it.
Okay, I was just
It'll
curious.
get approved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that
Yeah.
the city needs.
I have a quick question. I went and talked to the fire department for quite a while, and I was asking them, we were having all the fires all in California. I said, what sort of things would really help you guys out? And he made a really interesting comment. He said, if we can get drones, it would make such a difference. Because then we can look at where
That's
the fire,
interesting.
what the condition is, we can scope things out far easier, and we don't have to send guys all over the place, and perhaps in areas that might be more dangerous.
Do you remember who you spoke to specifically?
I can look it up.
Okay, so why don't you, if you could tell me that, we could possibly try to get them money towards drones. Why not?
Because I was thinking too, I don't know if the police have thought about that also, because that's a lot easier way, you can just run one of those sections
Yeah,
along the river.
that's a fun idea.
And see what's going on and scan everybody, and like the guys that I saw stealing bikes,
So
they were
in
just
opposition of that.
dashing them up under
Why not?
Because it'll be
Under the
sued for
bridge.
invasion of privacy.
Yeah,
Well,
and
okay.
that flies on.
Yeah, that's good.
With that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you.